Today we're going to be making keema. Keema is a mincemeat dish that's found in many parts of India. Traditionally, it's made with ground lamb because people in India don't traditionally eat too much beef, and it's basically almost like an Indian chili. The depth of flavor that you achieve in this dish is pretty remarkable considering that it's almost a 30-minute dish. There's a little bit of advanced prep. We're gonna layer some spices, we're gonna make a masala, but it's gonna be very quick and very instant, and so it's perfect for a weeknight. You can have it cold, you can have it hot, but I prefer it hot. So let's get started. Next, I want to talk about ginger garlic paste. Ginger garlic paste is a fundamental building block of a lot of Indian recipes. There's something about the combination of ginger with the garlic pureed together that keeps the ginger from getting too fibrous when you cook it and keeps the garlic from burning. And you can just combine everything together, but I think you get a little smoother result if you puree the ginger first. So in goes some ginger. This is going to be loud. You want to get it pretty fine. It doesn't have to be a perfect paste at this point because we're going to, again, combine it with the garlic, but just pull out most of it. Do your garlic next. Now we have a really fine puree of garlic and ginger. And now you can actually measure. So you have a 1/4 cup of ginger and a 1/4 cup of garlic. You're gonna combine these together. And I always add a little bit of water to just get it going. And now a really smooth ginger garlic paste. A few hours before you're ready to cook, or even the night before, you want to flavor your ground meat. You're basically seasoning the lamb with ginger garlic paste, into which I have pureed a little serrano pepper. You can definitely substitute jalapeno and a little bit of turmeric. Mix it all up together, get it well incorporated, and once that's mixed, you can pop it in the refrigerator. If you're gonna cook it in the next hour, you can leave it at room temperature, and that'll be sort of like an express marination. That's about it. You want to cover it with a little plastic wrap and let it hang out. This is a little hack. A good way to peel and chop your tomatoes all in one and get the most juice out of it is to use a grater. So you take the core out and you just grate this, get it started on one side. You can always rotate, but you'll see that what's happening is that all the flesh is getting grated and you're going to be left with a big piece of just the peel. And if you want to take the seeds out, you can just strain your pulp that's accumulating in your container. You'll get lovely chopped fresh tomatoes with a lot of delicious juice. Let's start cooking our keema. I'm gonna turn my heat to medium-high and just put in a little bit of canola oil to get it going. Don't forget your ground meat, whatever you're using, is gonna have some fat, so you really don't need that much fat. And you wanna make sure that you're mashing it the whole time and turn it so it browns evenly and it doesn't cook in big clumps. And this is gonna render quite a bit of fat, especially if you're using something like 80-20 ground beef. It's very important with these kind of dishes to season as you go. So you see I put a little salt in here, and even though I haven't really started putting many spices in here yet, I'm gonna add in pepper. And at this point you can do a couple of things. You can kind of push all the meat to one side of the pan and squeeze out the fat. You're not going to toss the fat, you're going to use it to layer the next stages of the keema. I like to just take the brown meat out. Now you can take some of this residual rendered fat, and don't worry if there's little bits of meat still in the oil. So at this point we're ready to start blooming some of our spices and sauteing our aromatics. We're going to drop a whole bay leaf in there. So there's two kinds of cumin in this dish. We have whole seeds and we also have ground cumin. So when you're using whole seeds, you always want to bloom in fat. And you see how quickly this goes. The cumin starts to sputter and smell really good. And add our sweet spices, green cardamom, add in your diced onion, hit it with just a little bit of salt. You want to definitely season as you go. My pan looks a little dry, so I'm going to add a little bit of that fat back in. So the whole point is you want to be as deliberate as you can possibly be about the amount of fat that you're leaving into your dish. You want to stir this around every couple of minutes. You're seeing this brown deliciousness accumulating on the side of the pan. That's not a bad thing. That's actually what is known as fond. And we're gonna deglaze all of that, and it's gonna end up in our final product. Okay, so you can see that our onions are really translucent. I'm gonna push them aside, create what I call a little hot spot. Add in your ginger garlic paste. Doesn't have the pureed peppers in it, but you certainly could just make extra of that. And we have a little bit more chopped serrano. And we're gonna mix that into the onions and let that cook down until it doesn't smell raw anymore. I'm gonna push everything aside and make like a little hot spot because we're gonna bloom our ground spices. And this is gonna happen really fast, so the order doesn't matter too much. We have a little bit more turmeric, a little ground clove, a little ground coriander, and I love coriander, so I use a lot of it. Get it all mixed into our onions, garlic, and ginger. Put in a little tomato paste. Smash that in there. This is not traditional, but we're adding in a little white wine because I really want the acid in the wine to carry all of the flavors. But a little wine never hurt a dish. So now at this point, our spices are bloomed. We have basically what we call a masala. This is a wet masala. So add our ground meat back in. Stir it all together. Fold it in. We're gonna give this a couple of minutes to evaporate for all the alcohol in the wine to evaporate, and we'll proceed. I can smell that there's no alcohol-y smell. I'm gonna add a little bit more salt at this point. And again, I only had strained tomatoes. If you have chopped canned tomatoes, definitely use those. But I'm using a combination of strained and freshly grated tomatoes. Now you're gonna add in some stock, and it's gonna simmer and get a little bit more concentrated and evaporate some of this liquid. I'm gonna add just a touch more salt. Don't over season it at this point because it is gonna reduce. So at this point, this is gonna simmer for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Turn the heat down, keep an eye on it. Go make your rice or side dish, whatever you want. Go sit down on the couch, watch some TV, and we'll be back. Okay, our keema has been simmering for about 10 or 12 minutes. I've come back and checked on it, just given it a little stir, give it a little taste. It's so delicious. It's really amazing how much flavor, how much depth of flavor you've gotten out of 10 minutes of simmering. It tastes like an all-day cook, like a low and slow cook. So we're gonna do a few things to finish this. So I like a little bit more heat. So I'm adding a little bit of this Kashmiri chili powder. And at this point, I really love lamb and fennel. So this is just freshly ground fennel powder. And normally you would never put mint into something this hot and let it cook, but there's something that happens when you put the mint in here. Let it simmer for a little bit. It just elevates the whole dish to the next level. This is cilantro, and I like to balance this out at the very end with just a hit of lemon juice. I squeezed this earlier. Here I have palm sugar that I've just smashed up in my mortar and pestle. You can use brown sugar or just like a tiny pinch of white sugar. If you don't have this, which most people don't, you can just use light brown sugar. So you're gonna let this go for about 3 minutes, and at this point you could add some roasted potatoes. These are frozen peas. We ate all of the fresh peas that we got at the market the other day, so And you can just put these in right from the freezer, and as soon as the peas go in, turn the heat off. They're gonna be still bright green. Keep your base pea free and then add the peas when you heat it up and you're ready to serve. And I have a little bit of basmati rice that I finished with some brown butter and currants and almonds. And you can just ladle it over. And again, you can make sloppy joes out of this. You can eat it with pita bread, flatbread, make tacos, put it on nachos. I like to eat this with a little cooling yogurt, but this is a one bowl wonder. If you have some pickled onions, that would be unbelievably good. Some more sprigs of mint, and dinner is ready. Every day, 30-minute keema with rice, yogurt, and pickled onions.